Okay, so we begin. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. So today's session would be on face recognition using Azure Cognitive Vision Services. So we would be there are a lot of vision services which are exposed by the Azure Cognitive Services API. Amongst the myriad offerings which they have, we'll be covering the face recognition service today. And the agenda would be something like, we would just briefly learn about a face service, its attributes, how it works, and fundamentals. Then we would learn about the concepts of face detection and recognition, then about the modeling, so not actually going into the depths of building machine learning models for face recognition, but about leveraging on the already pre-trained models which are offered by Azure on their cloud space, how to use about going them evaluating performance. And then we will finish off with a live demo, so not using pre-used pictures which are there in the GitHub sources for Azure quick starts, but we'll actually use live pictures which I have on my computer, and we'll see how it is goes about recognizing faces and the kind of precision it gives us. So I am head of innovation technology, and I am a data science and big data solution architect. I'm also, working with lot of natural language processing. So most of my data science work goes on with text analytics, speech services. And if you want to connect with me, you can always ping me on my Twitter handle, which is Fuzzy Mind. So let us begin. Just before we delve into the face recognition right away, let us have a bird's eye view of what are the Azure Cognitive Services and why do you have the Azure Cognitive Services. So, imagine a conversation between the user, the business, and the developers playing out like following. So the business, maybe they want to have a kind of a speech recognition service or a speech to text service in your application. So it's not very uncommon for businesses to expect the same kind of functionality which they have on multiple platforms. So for users who are for a business purposes, they're traveling outside, they would want to have a microphone service which is the Siri or Google kind of services, or those kind of, you tap and you just have the dictation service enabled. So it's not very uncommon for them to expect the same thing on your web application also. So I mean, never mind the platform dependencies and Android and web services and stuff, but then if you want to have those kind of platform independent or multiple platform supportive services, how do you do it? It's not a child's play to have a speech recognition services integrated in your application. I mean, it's not at all just one click or drag and drop kind of an implementation. So in this case, where you want to have sophisticated artificial intelligence, machine learning based services into your applications and have them up and running quickly, so without having to actually write the boilerplate code about what kind of machine learning model are we going to use, how are we going to train the data. So all these background processes, imagine that if they're already provided to you and I just need to feed data to it, which it will train using most of the standard algorithms, and then give back to me what I want. And then I operate on top of it, or give me the entire machine learning service itself, the machine learning modeling itself as a service on which I can train my data and then leverage it for my applications. So this is what essentially cognitive services does. They provide you machine learning capabilities, they impart artificial intelligence capabilities, and you are in the form of a API or a service, and you just need to know the programming language in which you're going to consume the API, and then build your application on top of it. So we are going to use Azure Cognitive Services for a lot of capabilities for hearing, seeing, speaking, understanding, and even logical reasoning. So you have a lot of services for that, which are vision, speech, language, decision making, right? And what cognitive services essentially start to a target is to bring AI within the reach of every developer. So if I have to have complex applications and have them up and running in, like, maybe not a few within a few weeks or a few days, without having to understand the logic behind machine learning modeling, or having to sit down and actually build a machine learning model. So for developers who are cognizant with APIs, SDKs, programming languages, and want to leverage on the machine learning models, so we have Azure Cognitive Services for them. The different type of cognitive services offerings, as we were discussing, so our decision, language, speech, vision, web search. Even within vision, you have so face recognition is one aspect of computer vision services. So others are, you have ink form recognizer, or even computer vision, wherein you can scan your invoices, tax receipts, and then it can recognize the bounding box, the coordinates, and give you the total sales or the price or the individual inventory items and those sort of things. So there are a lot of interesting applications around all of these, and I strongly request all of you to maybe just go and have a look on the cognitive services quick starts and demos. Very interesting applications there. So in a nutshell, so when are we going to use cognitive services, and when are we actually going to use machine learning? So as I was repeating it, I mean, at the risk of repeating myself again, so if we use cognitive services when we want a generalized solution, and we want to build that solution easily with the help of REST APIs or SDKs or pre-built machine learning models which are exposed as interfaces to a programmer. And we are going to use machine learning when we need to have a very specific algorithm. So for an organization where I need to have a very specific problem of maybe analyzing data for a specific industry, or buying pattern for my own product across competitors in different product categories. So for all those things, when it is a very specific problem, I would go for machine learning. Again, machine learning when normal rule based algorithms are not able to solve your problem. So let us start about face. What does your face recognition do? It's basically delivering state of the art facial recognition. So the facial recognition which you see on your Facebook photos, or whenever similarity kind of tests, or a facial recognition within groups, or when you're uploading photos on Insta or Facebook and you're tagging your friends or your family. So all those things are provided by the face API. So it's absolutely precise state of the art facial recognition, and embedding the facial recognition in our apps for a seamless and of course very secure experience. So even if you go to the quick starts and you are trying to look at the pictures which are pre-uploaded, all of those pictures, the usage of those pictures has been licensed. There's a user acceptance for uploading your pictures, and for having Microsoft having a Microsoft seek your permission and acceptance to use them for their demos. So of course it's a secure environment. And even for the demos, for quick starts, if you just want to upload your picture, those pictures are not retained. So the demos which are going to see today, where we are going to upload pictures from my own laptop or whatever, those are absolutely not retained, and we are just being served. So we are calling the API, and we are being served the API response in a JSON format. But after that, the photos are deleted. I mean, even when I run the demo, you will see that next time I'm clicking on the button, that picture is not available. So it tells me that the trained model has been deleted, and you might have to retrain it and re-upload your pictures. So please be assured that it's secure. Even the deployment is very secure. And yeah, good news, no machine learning expertise required. So I don't have to reason whether am I going to use a PCA algorithm, or whether I'm going to use a root mean square error, stochastic gradient descent to minimize my error, and all those things. Just need to know how to program any of the languages, C#, Python, Node.js, Go, and then use the API calls. So the features for face recognition, they include face detection, face recognition. So those are two different things. I mean, it's not uncommon for users to, correlate the two terms and interchangeably use the two terms, but they are not. So face detection, face recognition, then person identification, and it could identify a person from repository of about 1 million people. So that is the kind of flexibility and precision it gives you. Perceived emotion recognition, which means are you happy, sad, afraid, neutral, all those kind of things. And recognition and grouping of similar faces in images. That is how it you do when you are uploading pictures of family, and then you're not specifically tagging anyone, but then depending on your pre-existing recognized pictures, it is going to group you or tag you in all those pictures. So if you look at the features of cognitive services, face cognitive services, advanced facial recognition, yes, very easy to use, flexible deployment, built-in security. So in advanced facial recognition, we will see demos in which it can also tell you whether you are wearing any makeup or not, what is the color of your hair. It could uh, quite accurately also predict the age. Of course, that is not something which all of us want, but yeah, I mean, it can accurately do that as well. It can give you similarity of comparison between your faces. And so let's say I'm uploading maybe 10 faces, and the comparison, the feature picture is something which I want to identify from among those 10 pictures. It will also give me that my face exactly matches which, maybe it is a 90% match to which others, maybe it is a 75% match to each to which other picture. So all those things also it can tell us, which is what I mean by advanced facial recognition. But for easy to use, once we see the code and the demo, it would be very obvious that we just need a face API key and Azure subscription for that. For flexible deployment, we know that Azure cloud deployment using containers, Docker, and security, as I was talking of, that don't worry, your pictures and your data is not retained, and you absolutely have an agreement to that effect when you are using their APIs. So let's delve into the basic concepts. So when you see face, right, when we talk of face recognition or face detection, it goes the other way around. So it's not directly face recognition. It starts with face detection first, and then relating it, and then recognizing the face. So imagine that when you are, I mean, as a human mind, you are seeing a person for the first time. The first time when you see that person, you are registering that face. Okay, and then it kind of becomes a persisted image in your memory, in your brain. The next time you see that person, then it becomes a face recognition, where I am trying to query the persisted image from my long term memory and then recognizing. So first, when I see an unknown face for the first time, the first thing that happens is face detection. Now, this is exactly what happens in machine learning terms as well. So when you see a face, I see, a maybe person, age, height. So all this is just translated into data. What I see, technology sees as data. So your face, our face for face detection is categorized into distinguished features, characters, like the depressions on my face, the peaks, the valleys, the elevation for nose, all those things. And as you have a fingerprint, a unique fingerprint, all these facial features, or what we call as nodal points, they become our face blueprint. So for each face, all these nodal points are measured. So like the distance between the eyes, the depth of the eye sockets, the elevation of the nose, the width of the nose, the cheekbones, the distance between your ears. Okay, so all of these things, they become a part of your face print. And this is how depending on different softwares, many of them, they have around 80 nodal points. That is what we will stick to. This is the 80 nodal points by default. Cognitive services on face API on the Microsoft platform, Azure platform, they are giving us, I think, 27 features by default, 27 nodal points by default, but then your models are more precise. So yeah, so this becomes our face blueprint. Now, what actually face detection means in terms of machine learning is the action of locating human faces in an image. So it will return you different kinds of face related data. Now imagine that when a machine sees a face, what it tries to do is basically capture your face in a form of a rectangle and then try to plot it as coordinates. So the coordinates with the pixel coordinates which you see, those that is called as a face rectangle object. So it's like, in speaking in programming terminology, the face rectangle object will be returned and you will have the coordinates top, left, width, height, and the API response which you get, you will get all these coordinates. Now if you have multiple faces which you are uploading to the face API, then from the largest to the smallest, so that is the sorting order. Okay, we'll see that shortly. So this is what I was terming as face landmarks, a face blueprint. So if you see the picture here, it's again from the Cognitive Services Microsoft website. So this is how a face, if when you upload it or when a computer vision it sees a face, this is what it sees. This is what it will check: the upper lip top, the mouth, the nose tip, then the eye sockets, the nose, the width of the nose. Okay, and these are just a set of easy to find points such as the pupils or the location of the lips. And as I was saying, Microsoft Azure, they have 27 predefined landmark points. Apart from all these things, what all attributes are detected? So when you see the API response, what all we can see? We can correctly see the age, the blur factor is if it's a speed picture, or if the face is not very clear, the face rectangle does not represent the face very clearly, what is the percentage of blur we have? Emotion: happy, sad, neutral. Exposure to the sunlight. Facial hair, gender, glasses, hair, head pose. Now head pose is something which is very interesting and has implications, and running implications for that matter. So what happens is, normally when you are presenting a photo or the normal API call, so even your head is tilted at an angle. So let's say I am giving a side a profile for the picture, or maybe it's a tilted profile for the picture. Still, the the recognition API JSON response will give me a rectangle, always a rectangle, which is, vertical and horizontal and 90 degrees proper perpendicular. But let's say, what if, I had to check if an application like which is using face recognition technology. So let's say, what if instead of having my actual face, my 3D face being presented to the computer camera, what if someone spoofs it and I show the computer camera my maybe life size or very realistic painting or an image which is a high resolution image, and try to unlock it? This head pose, this attribute comes into play there, that how to not spoof an image. What head pose does is, it will try to check the head rotation. So there are attributes like pitch, roll, yaw angles. So when it is recognizing the face, it is not just trying to, an application which is a face recognition application where you are using your face as a biometric lock and then proceeding. So for that, this head pose is very important. So it will check whether you're able to profile your head in different angles, and then accordingly determine whether it is, the picture is live or it's a fake. So this is what, the deep fake recognition technology, basically it leverages on this attribute heavily. It also checks makeup is there or not. Noise being the visual noise in the picture, any disturbances, overlaps. Occlusion is whether objects blocking parts of the face. So the attribute, it returns a boolean value for forehead occluded or eye occluded or mouth occluded. It also gives you the smile, so whether from 0 to 1, so for 0 for no smile and 1 for a clear smile. That also attribute is also used to determine your emotion quotient. When we come to face recognition, as I was saying, face detection is the first part where you detect a face, and face recognition becomes your second part where you are now trying to compare your detected face with an available database and trying to match them and saying, oh, okay, this A matches A and they are both similar. So this what goes on in the background as well. Speaking in terms of algorithm and computer terminology, in programming terminology. So when you compare different faces, face recognition basically does is it will just compare and tell you they are similar or not, or whether they are the same person or not, basically. So these are the, if you're using the API or the SDK or the Azure Cognitive Services libraries, these are the facets which we will be working with. So these are the data structures which we will be working with. So you have a detected face, a persisted face, and face list or a large face list. So when I say large face list, it's like a list for having more members added to the collection so that it can efficiently iterate through all of them. And same way, person group or a large person group. So these are the data structures which will be using, which are returned, which are iterated for the face recognition using the API. So first time when the face detection happens, that face is stored as a detected face. Okay, and when we keep on adding detected faces to a group, okay, such as a person list or a face list, that those become persisted faces. Okay, moving on. So when we so for face detection, the basic operations are just detect a face, map the face with coordinates and attributes, so that and construct a face blueprint, a face print for that particular face. After face detection, when I am working with face recognition, the four fundamental operations which I'll be working on will be verify, find similar, group, identify. All of these four we will be quickly seeing in the demo. But as the name suggests, when you are trying to verify, you're trying to basically check if this person matches any of the ones which I have in my repository, or this is a new face altogether. When I'm finding similar, I'm trying to find my or maybe some other face in a group of photos which I upload, or group of faces which I upload, and trying to find similar occurrences or similar faces in all those photos. Same for group. And when you're identifying an actual match. So this person maybe on a front profile is the same person in a side profile or back profile or with a tilted head angle. So these are the identification operations which we do with face recognition services. When we talk about the head pose attribute, this is what we talk of. So normally when you look at the face captured at the first step of face detection, then we get the location and the size. Okay, the rectangle which we get, this is just the coordinates, and which are almost like the normal axis, x and y axis perpendicular. But this is very inefficient for framing angled faces. And so that's why we have this head pose attribute, where we should have the ability to rotate the rectangle also. So when my head is in a picture, maybe it's tilted or in a elevated position. So the face rectangle should also be able to tilt that way. We will see that feature also very shortly in the demo. And then you can detect head gestures like nodding, shaking, and yeah, so by tracking this head pose attribute in real time. And see, this is what you can use this feature as a custom liveness detector. Liveness detector is determining how live or how real that object is, and it's not a spoof, it's not a fake trying to bypass security norms and trying to fool the computer vision and hack our way into systems. So when we are, okay, we'll go back to the recognition and detection models a bit later. Let us quickly look at the demo for choosing, for seeing what all we have learned so far about the head pose, about the angles, about. So before you start with the Microsoft Cognitive Face service, you will need a Azure subscription. Either get a free one for 30 days, or maybe create a subscription. And once you have the subscription, you can create a cognitive service. And cognitive service, once you create it, can so you have a single resource or a multiple resource. In a single resource, you can choose whether to create a speech service or a proper custom vision service, or maybe search service like a Bing search, or decision making service. But when you create a cognitive service, it allows you to leverage on a bundle of services, face recognition being one of them. So I've created a bundle service here. I have used my existing subscription. I have a enterprise subscription. So I have used that subscription, and I have created the face service. So without this face service, the keys and the endpoint, you will not be able to proceed with the quick start, the sample. Don't worry, the code will be uploaded in the GitHub repository. So no need to rush for the code. I will be uploading the code. Just for the sample to be up and running, just ensure that you have your cognitive services set up, and you will have these keys for the face API. Again, how to build the resource and how to create the cognitive services bundle, all those steps are listed in the GitHub repository too. Let us begin. So in the subscription management, you will be able to see the keys. I would be obfuscating this obviously in the GitHub demo code. And so let us begin. So I'm going to choose. So just be very careful that when I'm showing the demo, there is a checkbox for the head pose. I'm purposely not checking the head pose right now, because I want to show you what the head pose attribute does and how it is for the liveness detector and the angled profile detector. So let us choose image, and let us choose one of the image, and let us see what all information. So we will try out with a couple of images, one with the group, one with the single profile, and let's see what it tells about, what all attributes it tells us about. So it is detecting the face. See, now even if I uploaded almost almost a full profile picture with the torso, but the face rectangle object, the face detect object, the data structure which we talked about earlier, it will always try to draw a rectangle and analyze the features within that rectangle. So now it kind of, the computer vision API with the inbuilt model of machine learning and all the other root mean square error reduction, noise reduction modeling, it drew a rectangle, and now this has become my face profile. So if I were to persist this object, and then in the future iterations, if I want to see that if this rectangle is equivalent to any other, then that would become my face print, kind of, my identity, my unique key, and then this would be compared across a database of faces. So this detection, now when I detect, it was giving me roughly, yes, 29 years old, facial hair, happiness. I don't know why it has not given me the happiness question, because I clearly see a smile here. But anyways, exposure is good. There is very low noise. Okay. And it can show you the hair, the makeup. Okay. Forehead. Now again, the hair color is very subjective whether the picture has been clicked at night time, whether the exposure is there, whether you're under sunlight. But anyways, I mean, it is giving a good accurate generalization of this picture. Okay. Let us try for a group now. Let us try and see that when we upload a group, what does it give you? Okay. And it's very quick. Imagine that the computation is being done in a cloud. Okay, it's not locally, the computation. So we are passing these images to the cloud API. It is computing, sending me back a JSON object. I'm reading it and rendering it. So given the fact that the computation is not local and it is taking place on the cloud, the speed is quite acceptable. I mean, it's quite fast actually. So in a group also, it has tried to do the same thing. So again, it will capture the rectangles in a group. Now coming to the head pose attribute, you can clearly see that the head is tilted here, but still the rectangle which is drawn is in the normal XYZ, the normal plane. There is no tilt or no crop. Okay, now once I do this, okay, draw head pose and I choose images. Let us go back to the previous image which we were working with and use the same head draw head pose. Now see the rectangle which it has rendered is different. Now this rectangle tells me about the tilt angle and it will also give me details regarding that. So whenever that now rectangle is being drawn, so if you compare the face print earlier and the face print now, this is a bit different. The crop is a bit different. Now it depends on the tilt angle of my head. Again, going back to the other picture which we selected earlier. So even this picture, if I draw the head pose, the rectangles now will be tilted according to the angle of the tilt of your faces, right? So that becomes a very important aspect when you are trying to have a liveness quotient embedded into your face recognition. Moving on, let us look at finding face similar. So in finding face similar, what we are trying to do is we are going to load a lot of faces which we call as a training set. Okay, and then the output would be grouped faces which are similar in quotient. So if I load 10 faces, my output would be groups of whatever, groups of 2 or 5 or a messy group where, you know, it will try to match group similar faces together. So let me do that. I would be loading a few of my existing, okay, let me go here. Let me load. And there's a limit to, you know, so for example, when we saw the data structure, I'll again show you the data structures later on. So there was a person list and there was a large person list. So the difference between the large person list and person list is this one. It will prompt you that a recommended size has been existed, and then you see that it has become a large face list here. Okay, see here. And then another thing is, because it is find face similar, it will take only pictures which have single individuals. It is not going to take in the group pictures because I'm doing a find face similar. We would do the find group similar group similarity a bit later on. Okay, and here I'm going to open the query face. Okay, so my query face would be, let us select this face, let us open it, and it will now match, you know. So this query face, it will try to group between find similarity between the candidate faces which I've uploaded. So now it says okay. So when it says okay, this is like a 100% probability match face, then also it gives that maybe this pic might be her you know, adulthood pic, but there's a 10% chance of that. Okay, so 100% match here, 11% or a 10% matches here, and maybe another 10% probability that it could be her profile or it could be her facial structure, you know, in the future. So this is the level of in-depth details which we get by you just using the simple face API. Let us move on. Let us try to do face grouping. Face grouping is where you're going to specify, and it will now actually take in group pictures also, not only individual profile. It is going to take group pictures also and give us interesting insights. So okay, this is my folder as usual. I have few pictures there. It is preparing faces now. Yeah, the grouping result which it is going to give us is, it is going to extract faces from all the folder, I mean the training folder which we have provided. So if you look at this folder, if you look at just give tile, maybe, yes. So this has a lot of group pictures also. If you see there, these are not only individual pictures, these are group pictures as well. And then from these group pictures, now from individual and group pictures, it has extracted faces of people. So there are pictures which are not even, you know, are captured on the laptop. They are not even, so pictures like this, they are not even a part of a part of a live or normal picture. There are pictures captured through maybe a laptop screen or something like that. I am not able to find them, but yeah, I mean something on those lines. And even those, it will try to draw the rectangles around them and try to capture the similarity. So it has grouped the pictures and you can see the groups. Okay. And then you can find another, at the last you can find something called as group messy. Messy meaning there was no identification, so no similarity found. So there was only one picture and maybe nothing to group them or compare them as similar to what. So it's like comparing apples and oranges, and that's why they are grouped together in a separate category called as group messy. When we go to face identification, then again this is a load large person group, and then let us go on loading the same API, same pictures there, and let us see what happens. So when, and you can continuously see the JSON response. So request is being done, response is being done. Okay. And then I'm going to choose the group image. Okay, so choose the group image maybe here, and then it will try to. Okay, so here it says response large person group not trained, large person group training failed. So that could be maybe because in the I mean in my subscription there could not, in my in my training data there is not enough information. Maybe I choose another image. I will choose an image which we have used multiple times and I see it. Okay, again here it is saying that it is not in the person training group found. Maybe I have not enough images and not enough sample data to train. Okay, and then this is what you're doing. So when you're doing face verification, you're giving one picture, you're comparing it with another, and then you're going to give out the results between them, the whether they are the same or different or no. So let me choose a picture here. Okay, and let me choose a picture here, and then I'll click on the results verifying. So it is of course when if you know a bit of machine learning basics, it will never give you a concrete result. It is always a probability. So again, probability or a confidence interval. So there's a 84% percentage confidence that these two faces belong to the similar person. Okay, and then yeah, so same way. Okay, then here when you're loading, again it is from a group, and then it will try to see if both the persons are similar or not. So when you try to train this, okay, and I choose from a group now a person. Okay, it has created. When I choose an image, so maybe let me choose an image here. I open it. Yes, okay, and verify. Okay, so it says that, okay, so this person, I mean because I have a lot of different pictures uploaded for this training, it says that a 90% confidence that this person exists in that group training group which I have provided. Okay, so this is how the face detection is going to work. I mean, it is pretty accurate and pretty easy to use, pretty easy to embed into your applications as well. So moving on to our slides, you will also see that you will have space recognition and detection models. Not that you have to construct them on your own. No. So you will have these models which are provided with the Azure API itself. You have detection 1 and detection 2, okay, or recognition 1 and recognition 2. And the thing is that depending on your requirements, depending on the precision you want to, these two models you can choose to. So normally the one which is the latest released will be used. So detection 02 is the latest release, and it should be the more precise, the more accurate one. Okay, but in case, for example, now you see the detection 02 model which is released does not give you other attributes like smile or the blur or hair color and those things, whereas the detection one might be not optimized for side view or blurry faces, right? But still it will give you all other attributes. So depending on the percentage of accuracy on your business application, you can see whether you want a detection one or a detection two model. Just shedding a few more light on what I mean by detection one and detection two models, let us look at the demo which we have on their site, the website, and then we see here, yeah, when you go to the face detection here and you are going to upload images, you can see the detection model whether you're going to use a 01 or 02 here. Let us do here, let us browse a picture and let us try to get back same things, okay, and see what the detection 1 and 2 is going to actually do. Excuse me for my clumsy scrolling. uh, Okay, forget that. We'll just work with the existing ones. So now when I use a detection 02 model, you can see that it is returning me only the face rectangle coordinates. The face attributes like the ones which we saw, the smile and the glasses or headgear and occlusion, all those are not returned. But maybe the once this face is detected with the detection 2 model, even if this was a side profile or maybe an angled profile, it could still very accurately identify the face, right? Now, when you look at the detection one model, when you are using that, and when the result is given to us, you can see all the other things also, like hair color, the facial hair is present or not, or all those other attributes which we talked about earlier. But maybe it is not very optimized when in case you want to identify the same person in different angles or in different elevations or in different profiles. So this is what even you have with the face recognition also. So this detection also gives you 1 and 2, recognition also gives you 1 and 2. So when you're working with their inbuilt APIs, when you're working with their pre-trained APIs, these are the two flavors of models which you get even for recognition. So let's say if you want to customize, so maybe you might not want to use their inbuilt models, you might to want to build your own ones, then of course you have to go through all the rigmarole of building the machine learning models, having to choose the best algorithms for those things. For face verification, as I was saying, it will give you the chances, the likelihood of how similar two faces are, and what is the likelihood that they belong to the same person or the likelihood that they are similar. Again, a caution, and I'm asked this question also when we do POCs for biometric analysis for my workplace. The thing is, would it be easier to confuse or to fool the computer with identical twins? So when we are talking of confidence interval and when we are talking of similarity, okay, and it always answers in probability. So when it comes to identical twins, would it be possible that it would be able to spoof or fool the algorithm? Yes, quite possible. So not only with identical twins, even sometimes when I talk of the head pose and the tilt and the liveliness quotient, it is very possible that I could construct a clay mask of a person whom I'm trying to impersonate with a very lifelike modeling. So you have a lot of talented artists who can do that and wear a face mask and still fool the computer. Now there are a lot of other complex algorithms which are utilized for stopping this thing. So when it comes to really high security and niche or very highly confidential applications, all these algorithms also come into play where they have deep fake detection, whether it's the same person or whether it's so then you have multiple parameters coming, not only the face, maybe voice, maybe other biometrics, iris, fingerprints. Those also can be spoofed no matter what, but I mean, just saying. So for every security restriction which these providers have, there will be hackers coming back with a backdoor entry, backdoor solution. But for our application, we are not building Elon Musk satellites. So for us, this should suffice. So this gives us a lot of precision. And you can choose to use the models which are, as I was saying, the models which are here, which is recognition 1 2, detection 1 2, depending on the level of accuracy which your applications demand. Also, just remember that if you're not very sure about which model to use, which whether it is decision 01, I mean detection 01 or recognition 01, you can also, without, if you don't specify, then it will by default use the latest one which is available, right? So you have recognition, you have detection, and behind the scenes, this detection and recognition are basically using machine learning models. Okay, and they are optimized for different tasks. So maybe sometimes I'm not really interested in getting the face attributes. For me, accuracy matters. Just capture the face rectangle, and that's it. I should be able to identify that person in various profiles: side profile, back profile, blur, low vision, or maybe with glasses. So all those kind of things. So depending on your use cases, you might want to use the algorithm that gives you the best precision. Another application for face recognition would be how to analyze videos in real time. So if you have to analyze moving frames, imagine like high moving frames, and now your algorithm is trained. So you have a database of detected faces. Now how to match those faces for videos? So in groups or in static pictures, we know already how it does. So it is extracting the face rectangles, it is comparing the face rectangles, it is giving us pretty accurate results. But what happens when you do that in videos? How to do the exact same thing in videos? So there are three approaches. One is the very simple approach wherein you just grab a frame. So video, you consider it as a moving frame, so moving static images. So just grab frame, analyze it, and consume the result. But what happens here is it's like because the computation, as I was saying, it goes on in the cloud. So you just run an infinite loop and you're grabbing the frames. So every time you grab a frame, you're sending the result to the cloud, then the cloud result comes back, then you are going to iterate over the next frame. So the time where your API call is in the cloud and it sends you back the result, you are basically idle, right? Because it's a synchronous call. So that's why it is not very optimized, which takes us to parallelizing the API calls. So when you're parallelizing API calls, you're not waiting for the result. So I grab one frame, I send the result. I mean, I send call the API without waiting for the result. I grab the second frame. Problem could be order in which the frames are processed and the results are received. Because it's a parallel call, even exceptions would be lost. They are not thread safe, and the probability that the results are processed in the wrong order also could be that could be an imminent possibility as well. And then we move on to the third, which is a producer consumer design. So which is like it's just like our first approach only, where we are running an infinite loop and we are grabbing frames and processing the frames. But then what we essentially do is the consumer, the producer, once the result is available, it just pushes it into the queue. So you don't have to worry about the order in which the results were delivered and you have consumed them. So this producer consumer approach is there. Now the problem with the demo for analyzing videos in real time is that my PC got updated very recently, and that's why it is not able to process one of the 32-bit DLLs, and that's why I'm not really able to show this video demo. So if you look at this analyze videos real time, you can actually capture my moments, and you can actually see the moments on your camera. So if you have if you want to really have a look at this working demo, I'll upload the code in the GitHub. It's already uploaded. Just go there, just follow the steps to run the solution, give your face recognition subscription keys, the API keys, the endpoint there, and then you should be able to track your head moments. You should be able to track each and every second of your action which you're doing right into the camera. That should be able to, you should be able to handle that scenario as well. Sorry, excuse me for that. And just to if you want to deep dive into the basics of face recognition, so as I was saying that the Azure Cognitive Services, the face API is nothing but it is based on the face recognition algorithms. The most trending and the most accurate of which is PCA, which is the principal component analysis. Also sometimes we use the excuse me, LDA, which is the linear determinant analysis. And then the machine learning engineer in me wants to describe about eigenvalues, eigenvectors. So what we basically do in principal component analysis is superimpose a 3D image into a 2D space. So imagine my 3D face with x, y, z coordinates, but maybe the z coordinate is not that important, and I want to superimpose it in a two-dimensional space. And my face itself would be represented as a very big number, maybe 100 vector, 100 direction dimensioned vector. And then for face recognition, I would try to compare this 100 dimension vector with few of the other vectors which I have in my database, and then compute the errors, the closest distance, the eigenvalues, eigenvectors. And I'm very sure most of you would be sleeping by this point of time if we were to deep dive into using the stochastic gradient descent or minimizing the errors or what goes on behind the scenes. So for a simple thing, just to have your application have the capability of recognizing images, detecting images, tagging people, okay, you just get your Azure subscription, and that's all. I mean, no need of going and building PCA models, LDA models. Of course, if you like to know more about those machine learning models, most welcome. We have a lot of UG events also going on for that. And please let me know your feedback on this link, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Priyanka, you have in chat box, there is one question.
Yeah, sure. I'll just go and check. Oh, sorry. Yes. So any attribute after wearing mask. Wearing mask for what? I mean, could you be a bit more precise when you say attribute after wearing mask? So a mask is like, okay, are you talking in the terms of COVID? So when you are trying to cover your mouth and you are trying to upload your profile pic, yeah, maybe it could be the occlusion, the occluded feature which I was talking of, whether it is mouth occluded or whether it is eyes occluded or whether it is ear occluded. Yes, absolutely. So in case of pictures of piercings which you have, right? So piercings on the lips or on the ears or in any aspect of your face, that also is termed as occlusion, because on your normal mouth position, the normal human mouth position, if you see a mask there or some kind of piercing there when trying to organize the lip coordinates or the lip distance, that occlusion attribute will come into place here. Yes, Nimrod, I would be sharing the GitHub link. I would be updating it. Right now, I mean, if you want it right now, I can share it as well. Yeah, just I'll paste it onto this chat. I just don't want to browse and get to my repository. But yes, I mean, I'll after this session, I'll surely paste the link here. And yeah.
If anyone have any question, please ask. Yeah. Thanks, Priyanka, for
Okay,
on
thank
time.
you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I would hand it over to Asif now. I'll
Thank.
stop sharing my screen. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shashank. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Hey guys. We have a next session. Please give your feedback on to Priyanka by scanning the QR code. Okay. And we have a next session for building intelligent apps with Azure Cognitive Services. There are two speakers, Manomani and Geeta. They are senior consultant and EY, and they will start the session in few minutes. So just hold back. Yeah.
Okay, Asif.
So I think you can start in a few minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, hi everyone. Yeah, Asif.
You can start.
Let's start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Asif. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining in on a weekend. Happy to see you during COVID situation on a virtual event. So today we are going to just see how we are going to build intelligent apps with Azure Cognitive Services. Before I start, I just wanted to make sure everybody is able to see my screen and able to hear me properly. I hope everything is fine, right? All right. Yeah. Today, me, Geeta Chokalingam, I'm a solution architect at Power Objects, and I have